Welcome back to the Buttercup Bakery Food Safety Induction and Refresher Training. This is part 3, where we'll be covering food handling. While the other topics in this course deal with the concept of food contamination and personal hygiene, this topic outlines the rules to be followed while actually handling food. When you complete this topic, you will be able to explain how gloves should be used when handling food, the rules for defrosting frozen food, the correct cooking temperatures, and the rules for cooling food. You should also be able to describe how to check for correct food temperatures. Correct food handling. You need to use the correct food handling techniques to reduce the chance that bacteria will contaminate food. These include maintaining good personal hygiene, using gloves properly, safely defrosting, baking, and cooling food, as well as monitoring food temperatures. Defrosting frozen food. Bacteria stop growing when food is frozen, but freezing does not kill the bacteria. Defrosting food correctly ensures the bacteria do not continue to grow and cause food poisoning. Most foods can be frozen, but common frozen foods include raw meat, chopped vegetables, and cooked meats. Currently, none of the raw materials used by Buttercup Bakery are frozen. However, it is a good idea to have an understanding of the correct defrosting procedure for future reference. Rules for defrosting frozen food. Defrost food thoroughly before cooking or reheating it. Frozen food should be defrosted either in a microwave or in the cold room. If using the cold room, defrost food on the bottom shelf away from other foods just in case it drips as it is defrosting. You can keep fully defrosted food in the cold room for a short period of time until it is ready to be cooked or reheated. Cook or reheat the food immediately if it is defrosted in a microwave. Do not refreeze defrosted food. Do not defrost food on the production table. The external surface could be at room temperature with bacteria or other microorganisms growing quickly, while the center is still frozen. Allow plenty of time to defrost food thoroughly. Large frozen items might take longer to defrost all the way through to the center. Cooking food safely. There is a good chance that food will be contaminated while it's being cooked if correct food handling principles are not followed. You must always follow the manufacturer's instructions when using cooking equipment. If you cannot find the instructions, ask your supervisor or manager for the equipment instructions or SOPs. Cooking temperatures. Cooking food to temperatures above 75 degrees Celsius kills most bacteria. Use a washed and sanitized thermometer to check that the thickest part or the center of the food has reached 75 degrees Celsius. At Buttercup Bakery, the internal temperature of baked goods must be at 80 degrees Celsius or higher. Cooling food safely. Food that has been cooked or taken out of the oven to cool should be cooled as quickly as possible to prevent the growth of bacteria. Hot food cannot be put directly into the cold room after cooking. Putting hot food into the cold room may cause the cold room temperature to increase above 5 degrees Celsius. If the cold room temperature goes above 5 degrees Celsius, all other food stored in the cold room is at risk of growing bacteria. Rules for cooling. To make sure that food is cooled quickly, you should remove the food from the baking trays as soon as they come out of the oven and place it into clean, lined crates. You can monitor the temperature using a clean and sanitized thermometer. Allow cool air to circulate around the crates of food to be cooled. Food must be cooled to 21 degrees Celsius within 2 hours. Storage of cooled food. Once food is cooled to 21 degrees Celsius, it can be put in the cold room or freezer to cool to below 5 degrees Celsius within the next 4 hours if required. If the food is not going to be packed immediately, cover it with a trolley cover marking the crates with a production sheet identifying the type of food, date, time, and batch number. Allow cool air to circulate around the containers of food to be cooled. Food must be cooled to 21 degrees Celsius within 2 hours. Monitoring food temperature. The most important way to prevent bacteria from growing in food is to maintain it at the right temperature. The temperature of food is most accurately taken using a probe thermometer. The thermometer must be cleaned and sanitized before and after every use. How to clean and use a probe thermometer to check food temperature. Wipe away any food waste or other visible contamination. Wash the probe with warm water and detergent or degreaser. Sanitize using an appropriate sanitizer. Dry thoroughly by leaving to air dry or by using a single-use paper towel. Insert the probe into the center or thickest part of the food and read the temperature and record it if applicable. Helpful tips. Always remember to put the probe into the thickest part of the food. Wash and sanitize the probe between every reading. Store the probe where all the staff have access to it. Make sure the thermometer is calibrated regularly. Fix the problem if the food is not at the required temperature, for example, continue to heat or throw it out. That completes part 3, food handling. Please open the next presentation for part 4, which is all about food contamination.